Now it's an issue of, great, we've got them all the way to that point where we get to the real core of the new home experience, which is customization, configuration, personalization. I want to welcome to the stage here Dennis Webb from Fulton Homes.
I was the number 2 guy at Eagleson's, and then one day he sold the company.
And you were done.
And I'm going, what do I do? You know, I need a job, you know. So I went to work for the company he sold it to for a year. A group out of St. Louis called Edison Brothers. Terrible people. Hated it. Traveled all the time. And then Ira had a non-compete clause. He couldn't hire anyone from the store for a year. But I kept in touch with Ira and Doug Fulton, his son, who's now the CEO. And we kept, we talked about things because, I'd worked with those guys for about 6 years at Eagleson's. And so he says, well, why don't you come over and we'll talk and everything. So he offered me a job. I said, well, I don't know anything about home building. And he goes, yeah, but you're really good at marketing and you got good skills and you're good at, people and things like that and you're creative and all that. And I said, okay, I'll do it. So picked up my family. Moved
to Phoenix.
Moved to Phoenix.
And there were 6 people living in Phoenix at the time?
There was 12.
Okay.
Altogether. And so that was 26 years ago.
Wow.
And so I've had a great time. I've learned a lot. And I've really kind of taken the retail thing and said, what can we do with retail that we're not doing in the new home building business? And I'm passionate about it. I've known Melissa and Tim for, I think, about 18 years.
Yep.
And they've been very important in our transformation into a digital leader in the country.
All right.
So that's my story.
Okay. You're going to have to go through my slides, though, I bet I have 2 or 3 slides here that I didn't use that you're going to have to click right over.
Okay.
Yep, look, there's a picture of you.
Yep. Oh, okay. So what I want to talk about is what builders ought to do but don't do in selling options. And I'll kind of go through each slide here and kind of talk about each one. And if you do these things, if you do a couple of them, that's great. But you ought to be doing all of them. And all you'll do is make money if you do all of them.
Well, I think that what sometimes we forget is that options are the most profitable part of our builder business.
Yeah.
And options inherently are a retail business. We have more retail space than Target does in the United States. In fact, one of the top 5 builders, has more retail space, meaning their design centers and their model homes and sales centers, than Target does in the entire United States. We are retailers.
Yes.
The question is, are we managing our business with retail science?
That's the key. Okay. So the first thing is think like a retailer, not like a builder. Now, I think builders are great and they're nice people and everything like that.
Well, you're one of them.
I'm one. I'm a transplant. But they don't think like retailers. They don't think in terms of what does the customer want? What truly does the customer want? And then give it to them. And that's a retail thing. But we've in our company, we're really lucky because all of us have retail backgrounds. So it isn't just me, it's everyone. Ira Fulton, Doug Fulton, Norm Nichols, our president, he was a buyer, and so everyone has that thing. And so we run our company like a retail store, not like a builder. And we're different, The national people don't like us too much. They just don't. We get in their way. We're very critical, but they'll get over it. So I'm going to look at the first thing here. So if you're thinking like a retailer, so this is our showroom in Phoenix. It's 13,000 square feet, and we'll do $45 million there this year in that store.
So that's $45 million of just options.
Correct.
And your basic margin on those options?
30%.
30%. So you're now got $15 million of pure profit hitting your bottom line.
Right.
That's a pretty good retail store.
That's a great store. It's the size of a large Nordstrom store. Okay, and that's what we do. And but one of the things we do differently than other builders is we do things, we show a little bit more. We talk about the fun things. So we carry things like Bertazzoni kitchens and Wolf Sub-Zero kitchens and things like that, where everyone else will just show GE or Whirlpool or something like that. We try to get the buyer excited, okay? So we really think like a retailer and not like a builder. We need to hire people that love to sell options, okay? It sounds simple, but a lot of people go, no, I've got this gal, she's been at Taylor Morrison, and she was at Shea, and she was at Richmond American, and actually she's been very unsuccessful in all those places, but they figure out how to get rid of her, and the other person hires her and says, okay, you're going to do much better because we're a different builder. But they're not a different builder, they're the same builder, they're just doing the same thing all over again. So we hire passionate people, and we don't necessarily need to have people that have been selling new homes before, new home options before. You just don't need them. We'd rather hire people that are enthusiastic, great with people, and really care about the customer and care about the customer experience. The reason we built the Design Center in the first place was to elevate our customer experience, and everything else has been a byproduct. Number 3, be transparent. We tell the buyers what everything costs before they buy the house. We've been doing this for a long time, and the buyers we really appreciate it. I know we've talked about that before. You talked about it earlier this morning, Tim, when there's that transparency. And the buyers will trust you. So when we first started our design center, we didn't even have everything on our electronic, design. We had manufacturers that didn't have their product, and it's been a problem trying to get them in there. But then once we got everything in, then we priced everything. We price our flooring, we price cabinets, we price everything. So the buyer knows even before they come into the design center, or even before they buy a house, we tell them the price. And they're super appreciative of that. There's no other business I can think of that people don't tell people of the price that they sell. And I don't know of any other company.
It's one of the key anxieties that market research tells us in that customer journey, that kind of picture Melissa showed of the journey and all those yellow dots. One of those yellow dots is, I just don't know how much this house is going to cost, so I'm done. I'm going to go buy a used house. We know that's one of the key anxieties, so you've eliminated that. It's also one of the key issues that drives lack of trust.
Yes.
Because if you're not willing to tell me how much this home costs, it feels like you're being disingenuous.
And then they're going to say, well, they can't tell me this. What else aren't they going to tell me? Are they going to tell me about this problem they have or something like that? No, they're going to be honest with them. So people are hesitant to tell prices because maybe their prices are too high. I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't tell your customers that are about to spend $500,000 or something how much stuff costs. It's just beyond me. So this is kind of funny. You look at markups, and yeah, we make 30%, okay? But there's certain items that we're very careful with our markups, and we watch everything, and we don't just have a purchasing department and say, well, we're going to get a 40% markup on this stuff, we're going to get a 30% markup on this. We look at each individual item, okay? One of the things when we first started was we weren't selling appliances that well. And because we took a big markup. We took a 40% markup on refrigerators, okay? So someone would come in, and when we opened up this design center, people had iPhones even then, okay? We opened this design center in 2006. So we've been having this digital design center and all this stuff that the buyers can see for a very long time now. So it's something we just started last week. So if you see, here's our cafe refrigerator, and we're selling it for $3,075, and Home Depot's selling it for $3,500, $3,509, and then Best Buy's selling it for $3,508. So we're $500 less than these guys. Okay, that speaks volumes, because what happens is the buyer sees that and goes, well, gosh, if you're less than that on the refrigerators, what are you going to be like on all the other stuff?
And the other stuff's hard to compare.
Exactly. Exactly.
Brilliant. Very brilliant.
So,
see, I tell you, the guy's a genius, huh?
It's so simple. It really is simple. But just if you do 3 of these things, you're going to be more profitable than you were yesterday. Okay. Okay. 5th thing, or 4th thing. This is something that's really interesting that we learned the hard way. We didn't get the salespeople involved in the selling of options at first. In fact, I'm so brilliant that I decided to drop the commissions on the salespeople selling options because the designers were selling it. I could save $1 million by doing that. It cost us way more than that. It was really stupid. We did that for 6 months, and we switched. I said, this is not going to work. We're going to give our salesmen full commission, even though they're not selling the option. And what happened is, at that point, we said, we need to get them involved in the selling process. Just as in the selling process, you cite your customer and you greet them and you qualify them and you close them, showing them what their finalized, personalized house looks like is equally important as all those. It might be more important. When women are making 90% of their buying decisions, they want to know what that house is going to look like. That's way more important than what the garage is like, or the mortgage payment, or anything like that. So we're looking at what things can we do. So we have a thing, we call it Browse Night. We got to change the name anyway. So we invite people to our design center every other Thursday from 5 to 8, and we have catered, and it's great. And in the heyday, when things were really busy, we were getting 100 people there, and we would sell houses. The salespeople would come, they'd meet their buyers, they'd do appointments. It was a good way in which to close the sale of the house, not in the sales office, but in our showpiece, in our showpiece design center. And it's been phenomenal. And we say to other builders, well, why don't you just do that? Well, the designers don't really want to work at night. Huh? Really?
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, they don't want to work at night. Okay. And they don't do it. Or one builder said, well, I'm doing the Browse Night, but I'm doing it during the day. And why do it? Don't bother. Anyway, we've had huge success. We sell 150 homes a year because of Browse Night, that the salesman comes and closes that buyer. Okay? You want to sell an extra 150 homes a year? Just do Browse Nights. People want a great selection of merchandise. You can give them packages, and you can tone it down and things like that, and they want things like good, better, best. One of the biggest challenges we have with manufacturers is to get them a program and a platform that they can lay out good, better, best. There's a place for the guy to go. So you want your included thing to be good, or your standard features, and then you want your next level to be better, and then you want to have best. So that's why you carry Wolf and Sub-Zero and Bertazzoni and Anderson Tuftex and all the the high-price things, as well as the medium price.
I will tell you one big difference, because your design center is managed and run by ILG, and it's been there for a long time. I've probably been to it 20 times or more.
Yeah. We haven't kicked you out yet.
I know. Well,
We're working on it.
I just keep coming for the free snacks on Browse Night. I'm pretending I'm a buyer.
And good wine.
But the one impact that I do have there that I don't see in other builder design center offerings, you do have like these Bertazzoni and the Moen, I can't remember what it's called, voice activated shower system, something or other it's called, whatever. They have these really high-end options that lends a halo effect to them as a builder. I don't know that you sell any of those high-end showers or any of the Bertazzoni.
We sell a few, but not enough to justify it.
But the halo effect of being there and seeing these incredible quality products makes me feel like everything that you offer has been thoughtfully curated.
Yeah.
And I don't see that in a lot of other design centers. The best is maybe a more expensive GE profile oven.
Right.
But it's not a marquee product.
Right. So we have the Moen. It's the Moen U.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yeah, and it's voice activated. You can say, turn on my shower, and it's to 100 degrees, and it does it automatically. And we have that in the design center, so it's kind of cool. So we can demo that, and people are amazed. We use the whole thing as number one, retail. So we say we're a retail store, and we try to give that buyer a great retail experience.
Experiential.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, let's see. Oh, have a pretty good online system that buyers use and love. Now, there's a bunch of them out there. We use the one called Envision, and we've used them very successfully for the last 18 years. It's been a long time. We were Tim's only customer at one point. We joke about that.
It's not very funny, actually.
It is funny.
No, it's not funny.
But the online system is so important. In fact, we were talking the other day, and somebody asked me, if you had to give up one, the online system or the 13,000 square foot design center, which would you give up? Well, I wouldn't want to give up either of them, okay? But if someone put a gun to my head, I'd say, I'll get rid of the physical one.
Right, you have to have the digital one.
Right, they have to have the digital one. Now, if you don't have a digital design center, you're missing the boat completely. And it's not that hard to do. It's not that expensive. And it just makes all the difference in the world. Your reach to customers is 50 times more than people walking through your models, 100 times more. There's so many people, and we track everything. We monitor everything. We make sure everything is there, and we know exactly what buyers are looking at and things like that. And if and there's other things out there. If you don't want to use Envision, use one of the other ones because they're all good and they're way better than not telling buyers what you're carrying. And that's what you're doing if you don't have a digital design center.
Especially with millennials now and Gen Z, it's a
Yeah.
non-starter.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're pretty much eliminated
Yeah.
from the search. When buyers look at houses, they really, the first thing they look at, of course, is online, and they eliminate people, and they won't even see the buyer. They won't even visit. They'll never visit your sales office
Yeah.
because they want to make sure they've got enough information. Now, I talk to builders and they go, we don't want to give our buyers too much information because then there's no reason to come into our office. And this is 2022, almost 2023. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. If you're in 1980 before the internet or something, that might make sense, but not today.
Yeah.
And we've got to get our heads out of the clouds and be realistic. With today's millennial buyer, they won't even visit you. You're not even in the running. You're dead. Okay.
It's sales and marketing making the decisions.
Yeah.
Purchase.
So this is one of my pet peeves is some digital design centers and design centers are run by purchasing people, and purchasing people, they're nice, and there's a need for them, and they need to keep score, but option selling is not a purchasing function; it's a sales and marketing function. So the option sales and your digital design center and your physical design center really have to fall under sales and marketing. They can't fall under purchasing. And so many builders fail by not doing that. And it's a travesty.
Well, I think the organizational responsibility of where options profits report is a huge problem in our industry.
Yeah.
Because depending on where they report, then everybody else says, well, that's not my job.
Right.
And then it gets to be hard because implementing one of these systems requires everybody to participate. You got to have sales and marketing and purchasing and operations.
Right.
And, all of these folks have to get behind it. And I think some of the organizational structural issues we have in our industry cause this specific area to be challenging to really accelerate from a digital standpoint.
Yeah. So have a fun atmosphere that gets your buyers excited. So this is a browse night, and we just try to have fun. We got a lot of people there. What's better? So we have 9 kitchens in our design center. So when you have a party, where does everyone congregate, right? They congregate in the kitchen, right? So we have 9 of them. And we have hors d'oeuvres, and sometimes we have drinks, but that kind of gets out of hand sometimes, so we're careful on that. We had one guy that was just sloshed, and that wasn't him. But we really have a good time, and the buyers, so when we have a browse night, the buyers, we're not asking them for a check. We're not asking them to make any decisions. We're saying, let's take a look at this design center, because we carry a lot of options, okay? And it's overwhelming when you have a 13,000 square foot design center. It's big, it takes you a while to get through it. We want to make it so it's less intimidating, and so they really understand kind of where we're at and what that experience is like. And we need to get them excited. We need to make sure that they're really having a good time, because we're in the entertainment business. We really are. Okay. And we're a store. So here's a little graph that we did. And so the first one is Apple, and they're the highest dollars per square foot store in the country. And then we've got Murphy USA, which is a convenience store, mostly in the Midwest. And then third is Fulton's Design Center, and we do $3,500 a square foot. It's pretty good. And then we have
Tiffany's,
Tiffany.
Lululemon, Nordstrom's. Think about that. You're doing 7 times
right, the volume of
the volume of Nordstrom's, which is considered one of the best retailers in the country. I mean, it's just astonishing.
Yeah.
Hence why we're really in the retail business, and we need to take our responsibility as retailers seriously.
Yeah. So that's our story. We, if you use all of these 10 things, you're gonna hit a home run. As I told Tim, and so we're doing 45 million. We did this year. We did 45 million last year. We did 45 million the year before, and we did 50 million the year before that. So we're pretty consistent, and it all is a 30% margin. Oh, by the way, there's no expenses. There's no expenses. We don't pay any expenses. Try that.
All right. Well,
thank you.
The brains behind that and the operational stuff behind that is ILG. So Justin, I'm going to air hockey this over to you. Justin Crumpler is going to talk about ILG and some of the insights that you can get out of the data from effectively managing this whole options portion of the consumer process.
Thank you, Tim, and thanks for that, Dennis. That was fantastic. Okay. Yeah, this is my first time doing one of these, and of course I'm following Dennis Webb, so we're going to do our best here. My name's Justin Crumpler. I'm the Senior Account Executive at Interior Logic Group's Technology Solutions Division. I've been in the industry for a little over a decade, and every second of that has been spent right there at the intersection of technology and home design. So I'm really excited to be speaking with you all today. I am really honored to be part of this panel, so thank you guys for having me. My topic is leveraging tech and analytics to harness crucial options profit. And we're going to start by just looking at an industry snapshot over the last 3 years, and we're going to try and tease out some of the trends we can expect to see in 2023. So in the years 2020 through 2022, obviously we have seen new home sales figures going down. We have seen the median home sales price going up. The one thing that we've seen that's been relatively stable during this time, according to ILG's technology platform data, is average options profit as a percentage of the new home sales price. So heading into 2023, we don't need a crystal ball to predict that we're probably going to see new home sales figures continue to decline. We're very likely going to see and are already seeing home builders out there issuing price reductions to the sales price of their home in an effort to win business. So how can builders start to recoup some of these lost option dollars in these softening market conditions? Certainly one way is they can lean into options dollars. So we can fully expect to see builders returning to personalization and driving options profit to that 30% mark that Dennis mentioned, or even higher than that.
Maybe if you do some of the stuff Ed talked about earlier, we can package a few options and maybe even bump that up a little bit higher.
We'll get into that for sure. Now, as the up-and-coming tech guy on the panel, some of you may have been hoping for something a little bit more innovative than just statistics on a PowerPoint. And I do want to let you know that we have today brought the most powerful tools available at our disposal. So allow me to introduce to you
emojis. Oh,
brought
very
emojis
nice.
today. Yeah, it's a lot to take in, I realize. So we've got nervous emoji, we've got scared emoji. Today we're going to be talking about the one at the bottom, and we're going to try and figure out why it's smiling. So how did these industry trends affect home personalization? 2020 through 2022, let's call it the name your price era. We had housing demand greatly exceeding supply, so much so that home builders really became order takers, right? And we saw a lot of you start to reduce your efforts in full home personalization. We saw a lot of you start selling in packages. So why is that? Well, for one thing, sales are going so well, full personalization is just not necessary. Supply chain made you be much more careful about what products you were offering to your customers, and particularly relevant for the lockdown portion of the pandemic, we had these largely inaccessible design experiences, right? And we've got design teams across the country reinventing their processes just so that they can continue to meet with customers. So 2023, let's call it the back to basics era. We're already seeing housing demand moderation. Home builders need to relearn, right, how to market and sell homes. We're seeing those prices and profits starting to decelerate. And we're fully expecting to see builders leaning back into personalization. And there's a couple of factors that support that outlook. Number one, everybody fingers crossed, is the stabilization of the supply chain. And number two, we're starting to see technology tools becoming more available that are easing those personalization and option selections experiences. So how do home builders stay ahead in all this? We've already talked about, securing every available dollar out there is very important. And builders should endeavor to attain an options profit as a percentage of the new home sales price at 30% or even higher. And one of the ways that you can do that is you can leverage digital platforms. So we've talked a little bit about the automotive industry today. Chances are if you bought a car in the last 5 years, you had the opportunity to go online and configure that car and price that car and even visualize that car before you ever set foot in a dealership. And that's even if you had to set foot in a dealership, right? Many dealerships now offer the option to buy the car, have it delivered to your home. We in the tech industry, we like to refer to that as the Tesla experience, right? And the Tesla experience, what it really does is it educates and empowers home buyers so that they can make their own decisions. And as the automotive industry found out, when buyers feel educated and empowered to make decisions, you're going to see that naturally driving incremental sales because of the transparency that's been kind of a theme throughout our conversation.
There's a psychological phenomenon that occurs on online sales where self-initiated buyers and self-supported buyers spend more happily than buyers that are being sold something by a human. It's kind of an Amazon effect. You'll put more money in your Amazon cart and be happier about it than if you're at a physical retail store being sold something from somebody else.
I spent, just a quick segue here, I spent 8 years in a low and high voltage design studio, which was really unique because we were still part of the design studio process, but we saw home buyers coming to us immediately after their first design studio appointment. And 8 years of that and 2,000 clients that are saying the exact same thing, which is, I just got back from the design studio. I had no idea what I was going to be selecting. I don't know what the prices are, and they want me to make decisions yesterday. Yep. And that's a big reason why I ended up here with ILG, is to kind of help solve some of those problems. So yeah, transparency is a big deal. And customer resources, very big deal. So in addition to securing every available dollar, home builders are going to need to secure a larger share of the available home buyer prospects. Right, and yes, you can offer more personalization, that's going to help, but another thing that's going to help is marketing your modern online shopping experiences, showing them that you're current with the curve of shopping experiences, right? People are used to buying things on Amazon, buying their cars online, so home builders need to follow suit. And those tools, those digital tools, should definitely include access to full configuration, access to pricing, and ideally a visualization component so that customers can truly see the impact of the decisions that they're making. And then another big benefit of adopting digital shopping tools is that a lot of these will connect directly with your home builder operating systems, and that's going to help reduce a lot of manual lift, reduce or eliminate some of those more tedious manual processes like data entry, order processing, et cetera. But probably one of the biggest benefits to adopting digital shopping platforms is going to be the analytics that are coming out of those platforms. So here you see a snapshot out of ILG's Design My Home Analytics dashboard. You've got some very powerful analytical data here. But what are analytics and how can builders use them to stay ahead? With relation to digital shopping experience, analytics is simply the process by which we record digital actions or clicks into sortable databases and categories, right? And those clicks, they tell a story about customer preferences. And when you have that data, you can make some very powerful decisions. Number one, you can rationalize your product catalog. If you know what options, for instance, are performing well, or what options customers are clicking on most or least, for instance, then you can put your best foot forward in terms of offering options to subsequent home buyers. You can also take that data to your suppliers and use it as ammunition to negotiate supplier pricing. So that's also very powerful, something that's going to help you to value engineer your product catalog. And then when it comes to merchandising, if you know what products are trending, you can and should be featuring those products in your sales centers, in your design studios, and crucially, on your online platforms and on your website, right? And obviously, analytics help you to know where you stand in your business. And most analytical platforms will drill down to a very micro level. So not only do you have this wide snapshot of how your business is operating, but you can also see what's happening across individual communities or individual households, or even see how individual performers are doing. So your design studio salespeople, your home salespeople, giving them the analytics and the tools to know how they're doing, make a more competitive workplace environment. So those are just a few ways that analytics can help you to drive business decisions. So conclusions coming out of this. For home builders, right, lean into personalization. That is one way that you can leverage, options dollars against softening market conditions. But in order to do that well, you need to listen to your customers and you need to listen to your employees and use whatever tools are at your disposal. So, if you've invested in technology platforms, that might be survey data, that might be analytics data. Otherwise, good old-fashioned word of mouth still works, right? If you listen to your customers and what they want, and you listen to your employees and they're telling you how they can give the customers what they want, you're going to be able to get to your customers first, you're going to be able to compete for that customer, you're going to be able to win. Also, home builders, you've got to embrace technology. And I'm not saying go out and buy a technology platform today, but get the conversation started. Know what's out there, know what tools are at your disposal. Be like Dennis Webb, right? Champion early adoption, get your data organized, and when you're talking to innovators, give us candid feedback, right? Tell us the whole story. In the words of Jerry Maguire, right? Help us help you. Because if we know what your problems are, we're going to work to fix them. Technology innovators. We've got to do a better job of listening to builders. So often we find ourselves on this track. We don't want to diverge from that path. The builder's telling us they need to solve problem X, and we're still trying to solve problem Y. So we have to be better listeners as well. And we can take that feedback and we can take the data that we have and we can learn how to be better. And then lastly, we need to collaborate to innovate. Here you can see a snapshot from Housing Transformation Summit 2021. In that snapshot, you'll see people that are generally viewed in this industry as competitors. You've got my colleague, Jeff Trapp from ILG. You've got representatives AlphaVision, BDX, InSearch, everybody's favorite moderator / referee, John Galante. And this was my first HTS 2021, and I'm sitting there, I'm looking at it, and I think me and everybody is expecting, WWE.
Fight to break out?
Yeah, 2021. But what we got was these people that are typically viewed in the industry as competitors, putting that aside, coming together to advance industry knowledge. And that's why Housing Transformation Summit and forums like this are so crucial to industry success. So we need to listen to and learn from like-minded innovators, and we need to share our successes with each other.
Well, we're a highly fragmented industry with only almost 19,000 individual participants on the home building side. So collaboration is absolutely essential. And in most cases, you really think about it, we don't really compete against each other as much as we compete against used homes. And I think that's got to become the common enemy of everybody, used homes, and build the health of our industry.
Yeah, totally agree.
With that, I think we're going to pass the wand down there to Melissa at the end, who, after implementing digital design centers in hundreds of different builders and tens of thousands of design centers all around, I think you're going to myth bust some of the objections that people might have or concerns they might have about starting down this path.
Yes, we're going to do Mythbusters. And the reason we're doing this, it's very therapeutic for me. Every time I meet with a builder, and this is almost 20 years now that we've had the online design center, which actually we're morphing the language because it isn't actually just about options and all optionality. It's about personalization. But every time I meet with a builder, they go, that is so cool. Yeah, we got to do that someday. And that's just code for, You are not on a path, you're not gonna do it, because you look at it and you go, oh my God, that's how I design my tennis shoes. Oh my God, that's how I design my car. Oh my God, it's like Amazon, it has recommendations. Oh my God, it's transparent. You get it, right? You get that consumers really need this and shoppers need it, but somehow it's our business and it's really hard. So we come up with all these reasons and excuses. So there's like 100 of them, so I just picked a few. And we're gonna just walk through those and try to bust some of them. But let's start with what we know. And these are not myths. These are things that we know, and we've been at this for almost 20 years. We make more money. And that is if you provide options. Now, if you are completely, everything's included or all's included, that's not your focus. You still care about the personalization and you care about some of these other bullets as well, which is we have fewer cancellations. If I've gone online and I've spent 10 to 12 hours designing my home, even if you don't have options and it's finishes and it's colors and those kinds of things, it's my home. I am much less likely to cancel through the process. We have more delighted buyers, and if you have options, did I mention they spend more money, which is really nice, happy customers, and they spend more, that's kind of cool. We avoid costly lawsuits because we have incredibly clean content with hundreds of thousands of products being pumped in by the manufacturers every night. You know that content is clean. You're not liable for that. That relates down to profits as well. Leads convert at 20 to 40%, and we're going to talk about that. We tend to relegate the design process or the design piece of that buyer journey to this very narrow sliver. First, you come out and see me, then you sign a contract, then at some point we're going to sit down and do options, then we move on, et cetera, et cetera. We have to think about design and personalization as going across the journey. And we have to back way up because, as Dennis said, if you're hoarding that information, you're actually hoarding what makes you really special. You're really hoarding that personalization, which is why I would buy new in the first place, right? So you have to think about the lead conversion aspect as well. We have more efficient design appointments and processes. So ILG runs Dennis's design center from an operational perspective, but yet it's powered from a technology perspective through the Envision product. And it just makes it that much more efficient. That relates to profits as well. Digital access extends to the field. We have all kinds of builders out there. They buy our particular product or they buy another online product. They buy it for the consumer, but the added benefit is your folks in the field are pulling up those pictures as well, going, yep, that's the right one. Yep, oh, okay, we'll go ahead, right? So these are things we know. And most builders don't argue with these things. I will tell you 20 years ago, when we first started talking about it, they'd be like, putting that online, that's heresy. I don't even understand. What are you doing, Missy? Like, this is just crazy. Today, now everybody gets it. You've got your phone. You know how the world works. Everybody gets these things. So the challenge is, how do you get from where you are to where you are today? And it is kind of game over because all of these builders have forged the path for you. They've gone through the learnings. They've gone through, okay, how do I get this implemented? How do I make it work? How does it fit with my physical design center? They've kind of gone through all of that. So it's kind of game over, and you're in a situation now where so many other builders are offering this personalization. It does put you at a disadvantage. I wouldn't have said that 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. Now it's switched, right? Now you're actually behind if you don't have online personalization and design. All right, so let's talk about how we get stuck, because we look at it and we go, oh, these things are all really true. This is really cool. I really should do it someday. Right? And we can invent so many different reasons why we can't get to someday. So we're going to just break down some of the myths. And the first one is, just because I want to put this to bed, is our buyers are fine doing things the old way. They're fine with getting in their cars, driving across the town, taking time off their busy schedules, coordinating with my partner to get there, cram in 3 hours of rushed appointments, feeling overwhelmed, nothing to reference, right? That is just the biggest myth that's out there. So if you still think this, I don't know how to help you. We did some recent surveys, and this is kind of jumping ahead because many of you are struggling. You don't have personalized design yet online. Guess what? Other builders who have that are leapfrogging over to full e-commerce online. So I can reserve a lot. I think we saw it this morning in one of our presentations. I can reserve a lot. I can get much further in the process. They're jumping through to e-commerce. So if you're still stuck on you haven't figured out how to do personalization and have some sort of online design, you're really, really getting even more behind. But as we looked in our survey, 55% would purchase a home online as they would a car. 70% would complete 30% or more of that home shopping and buying process online. And that's only going to increase as the Gen Zs start to come into the market as well. So that's the first myth. And again, spoiler alert, if you haven't quite gotten to personalization and design, you're really starting to get behind in the process. The next one is, and I hear this a lot, like, okay, I guess we need something online. I'm just going to turn on a version of my backend system or my CRM system. The challenge with that is think about your website. Think about how you carefully curate that experience. And you're watching time on site, you're watching for viewership, you're watching bounce rate. You carefully curate that, and you work with somebody who actually knows how to do that and understands consumer psyche and shopping. Why would you turn in one of your internal systems or turn that experience over to someone who doesn't understand consumer behavior, psyche, and shopping? You've got to go with a partner that actually understands how to get people through that experience. And the reason is because you do care about certain metrics. And when it comes to design, what you care about is kind of their time spent on site. And again, this is if you're a builder who likes to offer option and upgrades, you can see a direct correlation between time spent on site and how much they actually spend. And then you can see it, we also did it on kind of VR and visualizers to see kind of that similar. And now today you can do both of those together. So you can pick up exponential effects. And again, but you've got to study that and you have to understand that and you have to put that best foot forward. All right, this is my favorite myth. This one is crazy. So we make the right decision, right? So we're all there. We've got division president or the CEO, the guy who really, really, really understands about profit and really cares. You've got the head of design centers, you have the head of marketing, you got IT, you have purchasing people, which Dennis just absolutely adores them. And you're all like, yes, we have to do this. Our business depends on this. This is profit. Every day we don't do this, it's really, really hurting our business. And then this guy shows up. Could be a gal, may not look quite like that, but they are like the perpetual inquest of the Holy Grail, right? And you start to hear things like this. Okay, now we need all of our systems to connect and integrate in a real-time fashion before we can start, even though you've never had that before. But that suddenly becomes the perfect way to do this. And until you can do that...
They're looking for the tsunami.
They're looking
about
for the
it early,
tsunami.
right? They're not going to move forward with technology until everything's perfect. And that is the antithesis of being a technology leader. You cannot afford to approach technology from waiting for the perfect tsunami to arrive.
Yep, and we've got more. You'll hear these things. And these people sound incredibly smart, and they are incredibly smart. But they're not looking at, we have to do this to survive. We have to do this to have profits. How are we going to get on a path to get there? They're sounding incredibly smart because they're going, well, did you think about that? That's not perfect. This is not good. I mean, it's exhausting. So another one is let's wait till we switch out our backend and CRM systems before we start. Okay, those things take like 10 years, right? And if you're going to tie the profits of your business and your customer experience to backend systems, you're really dead in the water, right? And I'm not saying those aren't incredibly important, and I'm not saying you shouldn't strive for integration, but if you make that a condition of getting started, you are dead in the water. And then I just put, let's rethink our entire options master list before we start. It's just like, whew, okay, you haven't looked at your options master list in 20 years. It's way too big, it's way too fat, you have way too many options. But if you wait for some corporate initiative to start to clean that up, even if you're a small builder, you know how that goes, right? So these are things that sound really smart, like we really should do these things before we go. They will kill you. They will absolutely kill you. So I just threw in, well, let's solve world peace while we're at it before we get started, because like that seems super reasonable. So my advice to you, my thought is, don't lose sight of the true quest. The true quest is not a big IT business process re-engineering initiative where everything is perfect. While that may be your goal and you want to get there, and that's awesome, and we can help you do that, get a crawl, walk, run strategy. right? So if you're not ready for kind of a systemic approach, Jesus, start with VR and visualizers, right? Start down that journey and that process. It at least would generate leads, and you start to get in that process, and you can get more sophisticated as you go along. But the key is, don't let the tail wag the dog. It's about profits, it's about your business, it's about your customer experience. These people are brilliant and smart, sometimes even prettier than this, but don't get bogged down in this strive for perfection. The next one is online design and options are just for the design phase. And I kind of mentioned this before. We used to hoard that information, and then we would have this physical design center process when we got to that step. Not sooner, not later, right here. You have to do it on this day, and you get 3 hours, and that's what we're going to do. The whole beauty of new is personalization. Whether you have options or packages, or you've made all the choices for them, however you approach it, it's continual through the process. It has to be way back up here in the marketing and sales proposition, or you're actually not going to get to the sale, right? They're actually not going to buy with you because they're not inspired. They don't know what it's going to cost. It's kind of what we talked about with Dennis. So really think about lead gen, and I will tell you, leads that are generated out of our system, those convert at 20 to 40%. So it's somebody that's on your website, they click into your online design center or online personalization tool, whatever you call it. They click in, they explore, they save a wish list, they're super excited, and what have they done? It just went from being a Fulton home to my home. I have designed it, I've personalized it. No matter what level of sophistication you enable, those leads convert at 20 to 40%. Most builder leads convert at like less than 5%. Right? So really, really powerful. And you're always looking for ways. How do you get more engagement on your website? How do you get people to actually give you their email address and say, I want to talk to you? It's perfect. The other piece of the journey, so we said back it way up and include it up here in marketing and sales, is home ownership. How many calls do you get after you've sold the house, they moved in, and they want to know the paint chip number, the paint chip color? We had some builders who said it was like 20% of their warranty calls or customer service calls or whatever. Give them that information. So these tools live on with the warranty, the use and care. You know how you get those big fat binders and you print all that stuff out for them? Don't need it. They have it and they can access it. So don't think about your online design or personalization experience as just this sliver. Think about it across the entire life cycle of that customer. The next one is, since I do packages or pre-selected options, kind of the everything's included model, I don't need an online design tool. Actually, you need it even more, right? So if you have made decisions for your buyers and you have picked the best refrigerator for this price point, the best countertops, you've picked all of these great components, you better tell them what you selected and why it's amazing. Because they're going to other builders, right? And they're seeing, oh, I have options and I have choices and I have things. May not be your model, may not be what the buyer actually even wants, but you better tell them what you pick for them. And usually you have some color selections, you have some things. Again, to them, that's personalization. If all I can do is pick which granite countertop color I want, if that's it, it's still personal for me. It's personalized for me. So keep that in mind. And then the other thing is you need even more is kind of that lead gen piece. So you have to tell them what you selected for them, and then you have to give them something to do whatever level of personalization, and you want to keep them engaged in that process. Because again, you're trying to ward off the dreaded cancellations. Okay, this one's kind of exciting. Look at those dollar bills. Look at those like money flying around. This one cracks me up. This one is just kind of funny in a way. It's not in the budget. It's too expensive. We don't have that kind of cost. People. Get on the right side of the P&L. It's about profit. It's about dollars, right? We have builders, when they come in, they recoup their initial costs within a few homes. They make it up. Because again, it's not about budget. This is not about what we're spending on shrimp for the agents and the realtors. This is not about what we're spending on the billboards, where it is cost. Hopefully it has a return, you hope. This is an investment that you make that pays off within the first few homes, right? So the challenge sometimes is when we're talking to our builders, we may not be talking to the person that owns the P&L, who actually owns profit. Sometimes we are talking to people that just kind of have budgets, and they're right. It's not in their list of things to buy. It's not in the budget. But this is absolutely the worst reason not to move forward. So that was my miss. Again, I have 100 of them, but it is the season. Don't get scared now, right? Figure out where you want to go, make the right decision, crawl, walk, and run.
All right. Well, thank you, Melissa. And I want you all to thank all of our presenters here, because we are not going to starve you to death.
Yay! We get to eat.
But before we go to lunch,
Right before
we
go to
do
lunch.
have a session sponsor who wants to have a word with the audience. It's Brett Jacob, who is Vice President of Partnerships and Strategic Accounts, I think, if memory serves, with NICE.
He's also just a good all-around good guy.
And a great guy.
Thank you. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Happy to be here, and we're really excited to be one of the sponsors of this session along with Zonda. And let's see if our tech works here.
It was 1993 in Italy. NICE shaped its future. The leading global brand in home management, building automation, and security solutions. Our journey begins. Today, we are over 3,000 people in 22 countries, one multicultural team with more than 30 nationalities. We have 14 industrial plants, 15 technology competence centers. An enriched DNA made by many skills, competences, and know-how to create complete solutions that improve living and working spaces using integrated technology to simplify the everyday. A nice connected home means enjoying a safe, comfortable, smart, and sustainable space where people can feel truly free. Homes will never be the same again. A journey that has just started. We keep on looking for ways that do not exist yet.
There we go. Nice to meet you. My name is Brett Jacob. I'm the Director of Builder Services, or actually, I'm the Vice President of Business Development. My old job, Michelle, who's with our team here, actually has my old job, the Director of Builder Services. It's going to take a while for me to get that one out of my system. But a year ago, NICE acquired Nortec Control. The company had been around for 60 years. Had a big footprint here in the United States with a lot of, here in North America actually, with a lot of iconic brands in the installed technology sector. And now we are NICE North America with headquarters in Carlsbad, California. We are super excited to be part of this global organization. As you can see, there's a lot of things going on. This is our new experience center that we have at our headquarters in Carlsbad. We have a lot of events planned with builders and designers and architects for next year, where you can see just a large collection of all of our products on display in different applications and different vignettes. And we are kind of going through a branding process. What you see there on the left is what 20 or 30 years of M&A looks like. And so we are kind of, some of these brands are being rationalized. You're going to see some of these brands actually retired, which is a pretty big deal to some of the guys in our industry, but ultimately it's a better story for us because we have just one brand with all of these products. So our builder team, we have 3 different verticals that we work on with production builders, luxury bullet builders, and then a whole section of multifamily as well. And different solutions for different verticals. And we have different products, obviously, and different designs for everything as well. So we kind of see here, this is what we do in a multifamily common area. We're seeing a lot of these applications playing out in the build for rent space. So we're seeing quite a bit of these different things being applied in the common areas, in the property, and then actually getting down into the units as well. So one thing we've worked on really well, I think something I'm really proud of, is we have simplified a great deal one of the most complicated categories that builders have to deal with on a daily basis, and that's what technology you're going to offer inside the home. And a big part of it is obviously we have the right products. You kind of check the box, you assume you have a lot of great products, but it's really how do we help you implement those products, and how do we help you solve solutions for your buyers so that they can personalize their homes through technology. So we, in addition to the product, it's really about the support that we provide that helps make this all possible. I'll give you some examples of that. One of the things we do is provide a brochure. This is a printed brochure that we hand, and these are typically located in design centers, in the builders' home offices, and these are personalized collateral. Everything that we do for a builder, we've done hundreds and hundreds of these over the years, where it's the builder's photography, builder's logo, we incorporating all of that imagery into the home. And then you open up these brochures and you can see, what's the standard, what's included with the home, and then what kind of technology packages and options are available to the buyer. And we try to give you a nice array, a nice selection of different types of packages. Some of these are more security minded, some of these are more peace of mind, some of them are more entertainment oriented. But again, it gives something for everybody so that they can choose the technology options that resonate best with their buyers. And then, of course, in the Design Center, we've had a lot of great success with design centers, builders who have carved out a space for us to tell that story, that technology story, where we have videos playing that talk about the different elements or the different packages that are offered, live interactive product that's on the wall so people can interact with it, that all tells that story as well. So very important, we keep adding more and more design centers, independent design centers, builder-owned design centers. And then, of course, this is where we're moving toward, right? That's kind of what this space is all about. How do we take technology and do all the things that we've done so well in the physical world with the printed brochures, the model homes, the design center displays, all of those things, and how do we make that as compelling in this vertical? And really, we're working really hard on doing this with our friends at BDX to bring this to life. So, being able to select the options that you need and dialing it down. Different lighting, entertainment, healthy home. Ultimately, adding a selection, to a wish list, or adding it to, your home this is a home theater system that would be added to this home. So, working on all of that as well. So there's a lot of things going on at NICE, and I just want to thank you for the time today. Come see us at the booth if you have a time. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Brett. Thanks for that.